Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jose Macion, the Chief Executive Officer of GenOp Software. Um, GenOp Software is the one and only healthcare data transfer software and universal patient portal with an analytics suite. So what's the major problem that we currently have in healthcare? It's actually the lack of healthcare interoperability. Electronic medical record systems do not communicate with each other. Um, the US contributes up to a greater than 50% of the global healthcare spend, yet we are ranked 37th in the world when it comes to patient outcome satisfaction and quality of care. The reason being is we have not tackled the healthcare interoperability problem as have other countries done. So what's the current scenario at the present? We utilize paper documents, faxes, emails. If the hospitals are lucky, they utilize health information exchanges, and they use that for to transfer patient health data. HIEs are actually EHR subjective, expensive, and they're conformists when it comes to the data dump data repository model. The solution is actually GenOp software because we are EHR agnostic. We are very much so less expensive than the HIEs, and we facilitate real-time data transfer and exchange. Our goal is to have you access your health information anywhere domestically or internationally. We want your protected health information to follow you wherever you go. So I created this wagon wheel analogy to better understand GenOp software. If you think about a wagon wheel, GenOp software is actually the networking and integration hub. The spokes represent two-way data transfer pathways, and the rim is comprised of all the EMRs and EHRs of healthcare providers and stakeholders. And here's the diagram, the wagon wheel representation. In addition to the wagon wheel, we do have the universal patient portal, which functions as axle number 1, and an analytics suite which functions as axle number 2. And in order for the platform to work, 3 crucial components have to work in tandem to optimize the platform. Healthcare data transfer software, of course, that's agnostic. It will not matter what the EHR or the EMR is, could be Cerner, Epic, Meditech, etc. And you have to always have a an always free universal patient portal. So having that promotes healthcare equality, equity, and transparency. And the patients will always control the who, what, where, and why of their healthcare data access. An analytics suite is also crucially important because we output the anonymized data to researchers, scientists, and health agencies so that they can perform their good deeds, facilitate medical breakthroughs, combat pandemics, epidemics, and other population health issues. And GenOp software, our end goal is to create a decentralized distributed blockchain healthcare internet wherein all EMR, EHR systems are networked and integrated together. And this is our contact information. And any questions?
Just leave it there.
Wow, Jose, you came in at 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
Thanks.
You were super, super slick. I do have a quick clarifying question for myself.
Sure.
I will go ahead and open it up for, here, I wasn't prepared to get out of my full screen view so I could see the participants. If anybody has a clarifying question, please raise your hand using the reaction button, or in the participants pane, the more button, so that we can get to that. My clarifying question is, how are you going to monetize? Who are the people who are going to be paying for this service?
So the insurance companies and the healthcare providers and stakeholders, they're the ones who will be paying for the data transfer.
And what is the value proposition that you are proposing to them?
We actually save them a lot of money. We save them 20 to 50% as compared to Commonwealth, for example, which is a health information exchange that is specific for Cerner platforms. So
Okay.
yeah.
I was just curious what those were. Now, remember, we are in clarifying questions only, just so we can make sense of it before we go to our breakout rooms for our breakout sessions on his 3 asks. Cynthia, you are up with your clarifying question. Carl, and then Azita, and then Thomas, you are on deck.
Yeah, my question is, what is the purpose of this deck that you showed us? What are you trying to do with the deck? Is
I'm
this
trying
supposed to be
to, yeah, to get the word out. So I'll present it at venues such as this one to get the word out.
So
Okay,
you
so
might
this
call
is-
this an informative deck rather than an investment deck, correct?
That's absolutely right.
Does that help,
Because-
Sin?
Yeah, because
Yeah. Yeah,
the
I guess so.
numbers, I want to do the numbers once I get into the board of directors at a hospital, for example, or the CEO or CFO at the hospital. So I already have a deck that just focuses on the financial aspect. And I want to utilize that, yeah.
Thank you very much. Carl, you are, your clarifying question, please?
Yes. So what's the state of the product, and do you have anybody using it now?
Yes, we actually have 3 hospitals in the Los Angeles area that are utilizing it. But since the network is still small, the amount of data transfer is minimal.
Excellent. Azita, you are up. Thomas, you are on deck.
I had a question about privacy and HIPAA rules. You didn't touch on that at all, and that's one of my biggest concerns. I don't know if you have anything about that, in your deck, or in your in your software, basically, how you protect that.
So we utilize remote access server encryption, RAS encryption, and we also have, we use blockchain technology for security. So the reason being we use blockchain technology is that it's the best and safest way to protect assets. So an asset in this regard is the patient record. And blockchain technology has proven itself with cryptocurrencies. There have been 16 hacks, I think, from 2016, but then they've always traced the break-in point. It's the safest thing that we have when we have like a network to utilize. The larger the expanse of the network, the safer it gets.
Thank you very much, Thomas. You are up. Sin, Ken, Chris, Nick. Wow, we're having a lot of clarifying questions come up. And for you, Jose, I think that is a good sign that even for an informative deck, you may want to touch on some of those things. So quickly, before we go to breakout rooms, Thomas?
So in terms of going into your market analysis, it looks like you have projected 2022 global healthcare spent, and then you have projected 2022 US healthcare spent for 6.25 trillion.
Yeah.
Is that the untapped market, or is that your current market?
It's the current market, and the spend represents an annual base.
Do you have anything that might define what the current market, I guess this is the current market, but do you have anything that defines the untapped market?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Ken, your clarifying question?
Yeah, what, if any, requirements do the healthcare providers have in order to be able to share the data? Is there certain versions and of products that they have to be using in order for your product to interact with it?
Well, we got lucky because in March 2020, the healthcare, the Office of the National Coordinator for Health Information Technology, as well as the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, they dropped interoperability rules, which mandates patients having free access to their data via third parties. And it also stipulates information blocking fines and guidelines for healthcare providers in partnership with their EHR vendors. So it's coming around. It's coming around slowly, but we're doing the steps. We're doing it in incremental pieces. So.
And Chris, your clarifying question, and remember, these are supposed to be quick answers, quick question or responses, so that we can move into the breakout rooms and then come back for deeper dive afterwards.
Right, and this is following up on Azita's question about the trust and the HIPAA rules. Have you had any external audits on your system to provide that additional layer of trust?
None as of yet, because we're still nascent and novel. So the audit part is gonna come about when we've been in existence for a while, probably in a year's time. So yeah, I mean, but we're ready and prepared. We have all the necessary documentation. Patients consent electronically, and when they consent via HIPAA guidelines, they consent to us transferring the data amongst the patient data systems within the network.
And Nick, your clarifying question, and let's go ahead and keep this brief so we can get into those breakout rooms.
Now you tell me.
I've been saying it the whole time.
Okay, so my question is why going through like the blockchain in your deck? I wasn't sure if you described like that, if that was one of the problem, and why go into that?
Well, we wanted to do blockchain because again, it's the best opportunity that we have currently in the IT space to protect data assets being transported within the network. Just like how it protects cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. I mean, if you consider patient records as assets and how blockchain works, wherein the group within the blockchain system, the machines electronically and automatically testify to the validity of the data. I mean, that's invaluable to us because those blocks will contain the metadata as well as the actual patient record data. It'll be contained in those blocks.
Okay, that was a big set of clarifying questions. I am now opening the breakout rooms. Go ahead and jump into your room.